What's up? I'm Logan Mills. In this video, we're going to talk about the shad spawn. Let's get into it. So this past 3 weeks, the shad spawn at Lake Murray, where I've been fishing, that's where we've been fishing these last 3 weeks, the blueback herring have been spawning. And that has triggered the bass to absolutely go crazy. They're all over the place, and you can catch them just about on anything. And it's so much fun. But talk about the past, before the 3 weeks, the spawn, pre-spawn, the spawn, and the post-spawn. Those fish got hammered. There's been tons of tournaments almost every weekend. Every Saturday there's been a tournament out there. So those fish have been shut down. You can still catch them. Don't get me wrong. There's so many fish in the lake. You can catch them. You can find fish somewhere. They're just harder. You have to be more finesse and try and coach the fish into biting, because they're more stingy, lethargic, because they've already been caught. All those fish have been just hammered during spawn. So they backed off, and now these last 3 weeks they come back up to the points, your coves, wherever your shad is in your lake, which Lake Murray, the blueback herring, have been all over the place. So the bass, the males, which I think the males have moved up, because after spawn, those females from laying eggs are so tired and whatnot, so they back off and they kind of recuperate. They'll feed, but they're trying to, get back into, maybe not their routine, but they're trying to regenerate, recover. So the males that were guarding the fry previously are now up eating. I'm sure there's some females mixed in there, but I'll talk in another video later on about, there's a week in June that all the big fish come up feed, but the males right now are feeding up on the shad. Any bait fish that has spawned in your lake right now, like Lake Murray, blueback herring, are just, you can find schools of them everywhere. 3 main places that I personally think that are better they can produce more fish, because I call them ambush points. Easy ambush points for bass. So it's anywhere that bass can have cover, not be seen as good, or any place that the bass have an advantage over their prey would be an easy ambush point. So that's where the bass are most likely going to sit. They want to make it easier on them. They want to expend the least amount of energy they can to get the most amount of food. So they don't have to eat as much if they don't spend as much energy. So a few places the shad I have seen in the last 3 weeks have been mainly points. Mud lines are also they're good. And like up in coves where the bass have pushed the shad up into those little coves and they can't escape, they'll sit there and just nail them. And if you can get in there when those bass are schooling up on them shad, then you can catch a lot of bass. You can catch a lot of big ones as well. Like we fished today, I caught 10 bass today on a topwater and shad wrap, crankbait. But it's fun, but you have to be where the fish are at. You have to find them and figure out what they want, because right now they're feeding on shad. So first, find the areas like a point. A point is an easy ambush opportunity. It's covered 3 sides of water. So you got the left, right, and the front of it are covered with water. Most of them drop significantly after you go off the point. It's straight drop. And the shad, they school up. The only thing is, I don't know that I haven't, studied too much on shad, because I like, largemouth, I study that. But just from a logical point of view, shad would most likely not go in that not necessarily 60 foot of water, but just open water in general. It's basically death. There's so many different, you got bass, striper, crappie, any other predatory fish that is out there. If they're sitting in the open, they're just going to be killed. So logically, it makes no sense for them to be, out in the middle of the water. So when the bass kind of like push them up on that point and kind of surround them, what they do is they'll wait till those shad get like not messed up, but like I can't think of the word, but like when waves hit the bank or the wind's blowing, it pushes the shad and they move all around. They get sporadic. And then that's when the bass will come on and just nail them, and that's when you'll see them schooling top water. You know, if you can, any lure you throw in there, you can probably get a bass. Most likely. If you get in when they're schooling on shad, you can probably get a bass on almost anything. But you have to find them where they're doing that. And so what will happen is if there's wind, the plankton will be pushed up, or the bass have chased the shad onto the point. Most points are like a U. And I think of it as, so there's this little circle kill zone. At the end of the U, there's a little circle kill zone. That's where the bass are going to be sitting. So easy ambush point, like I said, they'll hide on the drops, or if there's rocks there's stumps, they'll hide. And any time those bait fish get stirred up, if it's boat waves, if it's wind, or I don't know, maybe if a bird swoops down and grabs a fish, it makes them go all over the place. It breaks the bait fish up, makes it easy for the bass to come out their little hidey holes wherever they're sitting and nail the shad. And so that's when you see them on top of the water, schooling and whatnot, crazy. And if you can get in there, you can catch a lot of fish, and there's a lot of bigger fish in there as well. Usually, the bigger fish feed first. The bigger the fish, the more rights they have. Like, a 5-pounder is going to get the feed before a 1-pounder, just because of food chain level. And also another good place is mudlines, because it's an easy ambush point. The bass are hard to be seen. Like, the shad's eyes don't adjust as quick to darker, low light conditions like bass's eyes do. They shift faster, so it gives them an advantage. So mud lines makes it hard to see. So those bait fish are just swimming around. They don't, they can't see. So this bass will sit there, and if a bass is up against a log, it's hard for that shad to see the bass. So the shad's just going to swim right by, and that bass will come out and nail it. And they'll school like they did, like they would on a point. And so you can, same thing, throw something in there. If you find them, you can catch it, but it happens like that. If you're not in there when they're hitting, it's hard to get them, because they'll feed and they'll go back down. They got to let that food digest. And they'll come in like cycles, so like every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes. Maybe they'll take a break for 10 minutes and come back. They cycle it. They're going to be there for a long time because they want to feed up. That's their goal. They want to recover, recuperate. So to do that, they have to get as much energy as they can while expending the least amount they possibly can. That's why easy ambush points are the best. Also, the back of coves, like if you find like a little, not like a creek in the back of a cove, or some little where it's kind of like cut off, those bass will chase the shad up there, and the shad have nowhere to go. They go this way, bass eats them. They go this way, bass eats them. They have nowhere to go. So it's an easy ambush point. They trap them. And like I said, you cast in there. If you can get in there in time, you can catch them. It's really fun, but it's really, it doesn't last long, because the bass will eventually, they're feeding up before summer right now, because summer it's hot, the water's warmer, so they use more energy than they would normally. Like the spring and fall, when the water temperatures are more kind of normal, like 70s, low 60s, not low 60s, high 60s, 70s, that lower range, they're not using as much energy, because if you go take a run in 100 miles an hour, you sweat, you expend a lot more energy, so you need more water, then you're going to be more hungrier, so you're going to need more food. So that's why the bass are feeding up now, so when summer rolls around, they'll slow down, they'll back off. That's why, your worms, jigs, small stuff like that works, but you can also catch them on shad. It's just, you have to be a little bit slower, because those fish have fed up just like they do for winter. They feed up for winter as well. And, well, that's all. It's a quick video on the shad spawn. I hope it helped. See you in the next one. Stay tuned and stay hooked. Peace. Peace out.